Hi, this is Dave Jensen, and today we'll be discussing dental model 3D printing. If you'd like to know how to process the digital models in preparation for printing, you can go to my video, Digital Dental Model Processing for 3D Printer. In the University of Florida Department of Orthodontics here, we have a couple different printing solutions. The main one we use is our Sprintray 95 Pro. We also have an Elegoo Mars 2 Pro, as well as a couple of washing units by Elegoo called the Mercury Plus. We also have a curing unit by Sprintray. In this video, we'll be discussing primarily how to print on our Sprintray 95 Pro. So you're going to need a couple things to begin with. The first you're going to need are some gloves and facial protection. These can be carcinogenic, so it's very important to be wearing gloves and respiratory protection. You also need your printing resin. We use Dye Model 2 Tan, as well as your file contained on a USB disk. So when we turn on the printer on the back left side, you're going to have this screen to begin with, saying that it's ready to print. So you're going to take your USB cable or your USB core file, you're going to plug it in to the front, and it will automatically pull up a menu of that USB. You can find different files. They'll be labeled as an SPR file. These are files that are prepared to be printed. So we're going to use the demo model here. It'll take a few moments to process the file depending upon size. Now it'll tell you the amount of material that you're going to need as well as the time. So we're going to go ahead and start our print here. It's going to give us a little bit of information of what we need to do. So we need to fill up the tank to minimum. So the first thing we'll do is we'll open up the top here. It's articulating in the back. And we'll take off the protective cover. This is to prevent auto curing of the resin within the vat. And you'll see 3 lines along either side of the print vat here. There's a minimum, medium, and maximum line. The minimum is actually covered right now, so we can say that this tank reservoir is filled up at least to the minimum, so that will be fine for what we need for this print. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that there's no remnants left over from a previous print. So we take this squeegee here, make sure that it's very clean, and squeegee it along the bottom of the vat. You're really looking more for a tactile sensation. If anything is a bump on the inside of the vat, nothing metal, nothing hard plastic should go onto this surface because it's a plastic screen, and this plastic screen will deform as you push it with hard materials. So I'll take this, squeegee it off along the side here. And anytime you're working with any material that gets any resin on, it's really important that you're keeping this area very clean. Knowing that we're going to put the protective cover back on again, I just clean up the top level there with paper towels. And then I make sure that the squeegee is very clean. Again, this is something that is a carcinogen and should not be outside of just the printer area or when you're processing it. Finally, you're going to make sure that the platform is locked. Now, the print platform is what's raised up and down when you're doing the print, and that's right up top here. That red locking mechanism is the way we ensure that it's locked. So we'll show you how the print plate comes out. So this is the platform. I also at this point make sure that the platform doesn't have any remnants of a previous print on top of it. This can also cause damage to the print basin. You can see the locked position and unlocked position. We slide this into the articulating mechanism and rotate it into the locked position, make sure that it's steady, and we can go ahead and start our print. So we go ahead and click print on the bottom here and close a reservoir. At this point, you're going to start to see the platform start to go down into the basin. I've sped this up, and the print will start happening. You can see that each layer is processed as its own file. So it's going to be important that you keep in your USB drive as you are printing. So now that our print is complete, we're going to move to the washing stage, which is the second step in the printing process. So now that our print is finished, you're going to have a print completed message on the screen. You're going to go ahead and dismiss that. That will log it in the internals of the printer. You can open the protective cover, and now you can see our printed model is ready to be processed. So we're going to flip the lock mechanism to the unlock position. And I like to have a clean hand and a dirty hand. My clean hand was always my left hand, and that's the part that will always be holding that top portion here, that black portion. And I'm going to place this on a lunch tray that is lined with paper towels because we are going to be dripping some of the resin from the printer on these. So now I'm going to take the scraping tool. You see there's a bevel side and a non-beveled side. We're going to put the non-beveled side against the print plate. This is to prevent as much scratching as possible. I usually start from the distal end of any of the models if we're just doing the horseshoe shape here. Again, put the non-beveled side against the print plate. And I'm going to put it right up against the back of the model as close as I can to the plate. Not trying to pry up, but really just kind of pushing directly against the model at about a 15 to 20 degree angle. Just a big hard push is going to pop the whole thing off at the same time. The adhesion isn't super strong, so that's really helpful for us here. We also have a lot of resin that remains on our print platform. Again, anytime we're working with resin, we want to make sure that it is all contained the best possible. So I take multiple paper towels and clean it off as best as possible, making sure that I don't have any resin remaining. Another way to just make sure that it's fully clean, especially if you're going to not be printing for a while, is to take a little bit of 95% isopropyl alcohol and just give it a quick wipe. This is to ensure that you don't have any thin layer of resin that can be auto-cured by room light, which still does have 405 nanometer light within it, which is what we cure at. So again, just making sure that all of these surfaces are very clean, taking our clean hand and replacing our print platform into the printer and turning it back into the locked direction. Finally, I like to go back over once again, just to make sure that I didn't leave anything from my print on the in the print vat there, doing the same squeegeeing there, and then squeegeeing it off on the sides and cleaning up again. So now that we've completed our print, we put the reservoir cover back on top to protect that from ambient lighting, as well as the UV cover as well. I'll go ahead and turn off the machine because we are finished with this portion of the machine. Now we've got our model that's taken off of the tray. Again, we're going to clean any instrumentation that we use and put it back in its place. And we're going to take that printed model that has a thin surface of resin that still remains over the top with our dirty hand, place it in the fry basket for our washing unit. So now we can start the washing. This print basket has a little notch that you can slide back into the back of the tower there. This is 95% isopropyl alcohol. Now on the bottom, you see there's two different modes. There's a cure mode and a wash mode. The wash mode is what we're going to be using. The cure mode should not be used. That'll spin it slowly and it won't do anything other than shine lights on it and start to cure it. You can add time as well as take off time. Normally for a model, I'll do 5 minutes, but if there's multiple models and lots of brackets or things like that, I'll go ahead and do more time. Then you can go ahead and make sure the cover's on and then click the far button on the right, the play button, and you'll see that there's an automatic vortexing unit on the bottom. It's kind of like a stir plate, but it will agitate the isopropyl alcohol and get it mixing so you can get a really nice wash. So once that is finished, I'll go ahead and turn on my curing unit, the Sprintray curing unit on the far left side of the lab here. We are using a Sprintray Diane model resin. Again, confirm that it's the same resin that you're using because these have different settings as far as temperatures and light timing. So that's going to go ahead and set it up. What this really is it's just a mirror box full of 405 nanometer lights. These lights are going to cure from all different directions, so you can have a proper cure. It also has a heating element that will heat it to 30 degrees Celsius. We're finished with our washing, and now we can go ahead and start our curing. Take the fry basket out. I'll let it drip dry for a few moments to get some of the surface alcohol off. Once that's done, I'll pour it off onto another paper towel lined lunch tray and go ahead and hang up our basket. Everything has a place. That's very important in the 3D printing. Put our cover back on top and turn the machine off. Now, I've found that you can let this sit and dry for about an hour, or you can just do a little bit of light pressure with a paper towel on all surfaces. And you can go from your washing to your curing in about 30 seconds, to be honest. There's no real need to wait for too much longer. So we've got a generally dry model, and now we can go over and start our cure. Now you can see that our light's already turned on because the curing unit is already preheated. Sometimes it won't, but that's fine. Once it preheats, it will start the lights. So this is a timed cure. It's a 14-minute cure for dye and model. Leave that in there for you. It's 14 minutes, and you should be finished with the curing. So now that our curing is complete, we go ahead and hit our complete to store it in the internals of the unit. And we have our completed, printed, washed, and cured dental model. If you have other needs for 3D printing applications, such as Essex fabrication on the 3D printed cast, indirect bonding on 3D printed models, as well as 3D model processing in preparation for printing, you can look at any of my other videos on this channel. Thank you.